as we go live for our second race of the weekend from Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup. Good morning, everybody, and welcome along to Sunday. Sunday is double race day as far as we're concerned here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Welcome along to the Global Broadcast Centre. It's John Hindorf and Shay Adam alongside me for our first competitive action of the weekend, of the Sunday, should I say. It's Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin. What a starter, what an appetizer to this Sunday. 90.7 FM around the circuit here. We're just outside Bowmanville. What a lovely town that is here in Ontario. And a track with, I think you've got to say that this is the best in terms of old school and new information technology and new infrastructure. 10 corners, somewhere around 4 kilometres, just a little bit under 2.5 miles. Action areas for Mazda pretty much everywhere. We've normally said turn 5 and turn 8, but you can get side by side by side by side, as we saw in race 1 yesterday, pretty much everywhere on this circuit. And what a place to come and race. After a long time away, we came back here last year and the racing was just as exciting as it ever had been. 25 cars lined up echelon style, getting ready for breakfast. I've got my sacred coffee ready to go in the Global Performance Centre. No, I don't have breakfast potatoes, bacon and sausage though. Canadian bacon. Bacon. Yes, that's real bacon. Ready to go racing. Let's remind ourselves what happened yesterday in race number 1 with plenty of action. Nate Cicero on pole position started off and got the whole shot into turn 1, but it was too wide and pretty much 25 deep as they went through the first corner, as they went a little bit wide there. The 57 of Tyler Gonzalez just losing a few places later on, but it was always side-by-side action, as it is here in Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup. It's pretty much standard operational procedure. Big incident for the replacement car for Steve Webber. You'll notice that is Sally Mott's colourway. Steve was out of the car and that was fine, brought out a safety car. Then we got back to racing, and Tyler Gonzalez took his 5th race win of the season. It was a 1-2 for BSI Racing, with Whelen Mazda, the best of the rookies, in 2nd place. So, Shay Adam, that leaves us with an interesting set of championship standings, given that quite a few of the championship protagonists did not do their best work yesterday.
No, we had an issue out on track for Jeremy Fletcher. A part actually came loose. That ultimately resulted in him finishing well down the charts. He lost 2 championship positions as a result of it. Jared Thomas, who had a decent race, and of course Tyler Gonzalez, who had more than a decent race, coming home with win number 5. They both moved up in the championship. Nathan Nicholson in that number 56 machine leads the championship standings by 60 points ahead of Jared Thomas, who only has a 10-point advantage over Tyler Gonzalez. Fletcher back to 4th, and in the rookie standings, it is still Noah Harmon leading the way, 5th overall, but Whelen Mazda, with another podium finish in yesterday's race, vaulted himself up to 6th in the championship and now is hot on the heels of Noah Harmon.
Yeah, really interesting yesterday. That's a couple of not great races for Jeremy Fletcher. Could have been right there in the championship, possibly should have been leading the championship, ends up in the kitty litter at the second race last time out at Mid-Ohio, and then yesterday's incident. He's got a bit of redemption. He sits in 3rd position now. Let's take a quick look at the Mazda starting grid. No time to do the full grid for you as the Whelen safety car is already about to pull off, so let's do the top 6. Glenn McGee. Oh, and we're hearing we're not going green this time. The safety car lights have just come back on. And that
Impact
is because we've got a car off at turn number 6. And we'll try and work out who that was. Wow, on the formation lap, this is the number 12 car that has gone off for Jem Hepworth for Rafa Racing. That car is rolling again, but IMSA couldn't take the chance there and will take another lap behind the safety car. Now I'm watching the timing to see if we've started the race. We haven't at the moment, so there's still 45 minutes on the clock. That gives me the perfect opportunity to run down the Mazda starting grid. And it's Justin Adeconis who starts at 25th position on the outside of the, inside of the 13th row from Macumbi Michelin Racing, who did not, as a team, have the best day out yesterday. It is JTR in on the outside of row 12 for Steve Webber with another repaired car. BSI Racing's Damon Orkey is in 23rd position, and the clock indeed has started as they came across there on the last time past the starting line. Jem Hepworth is out of position, should have started in 22nd position, but will now start at the back, so that means Cody Powell will be on his own on the 11th row of the grid. On the 10th row of the grid, Ashlyn Spade, who took the extra money for being the best of the female drivers for Hendricks Motorsport yesterday. She'll start on the outside of row 10 in number 31. Spark Performance, Alex Bashura, further back than he tends to be, but Alex races as well, if not better, than he qualifies, so I expect to see that 33 car come forward. His teammate Grant West is in 18th position on the outside of row 9, and on the inside of that row, Christian Hoddenland for BSI Racing, who didn't have a great race yesterday either. The number 32 car starts in 17th. 8th row of the grid, Spark Performance, Bryce Cornet with the number 65 car, and Bobby Gossett Jr. for Macumbi Michelin Racing. The two Saito Motorsport group cars, as they were yesterday, they share a row. This time it's row 7. Ethan Guillart, the rookie, and his teammate, the Pac-Man, Marcello Paniccia, for the number 19 car. They are, as I say, 13th and 14th. Noah Harmon, BSI Racing, on the outside of row 6 with Jared Thomas alongside him. Jared will only go forward from there. Weston Workman, the number 13, in 10th position with Parker DeLong alongside him. Sally Mott, another great qualifying for Sally. She was 6th yesterday. She'll start 8th today and has Tyler Gonzalez for company on the 4th row of the grid. 3rd row of the grid, Glenn McGee for JTR Motorsports with Rafa Racing by MMR, Gresham Wagner alongside in 5th. Front 2 rows of the grid, Nathan Nicholson and Jeremy Fletcher for Advanced and MMR, and BSI's Racing, Elio Meza, 2nd yesterday, starts 2nd today. Can he upgrade himself to the top step of the podium? Nate Cicero started on pole position yesterday and did not convert. We have not had a pole sitter winning a race yet this year. Green flag up in the air, and the 42 minutes and 3 seconds that are on the clock are what remains of this race. And once again, it is Nate Cicero who goes to the lead, although Elio Meza was ahead at the start line. Now, race control will be looking at that. Did he jump too early? Didn't disadvantage Nate Cicero as he heads round to Quebec corner, turn number 3, and has already split away, and that's a problem. That's a problem for that number. Now, I think that was the 2nd place car. Was that Elio Meza? I think it is. Looks like he's got a problem, and he's dropped way back down the field, Shane.
Yeah, I think you're right, John. He pulled way out of line. Elio very heads-up driving, trying to keep out of the way of the charging pack. He didn't want to cause an issue for anyone else, and he's still not back up to speed as he's going slowly around the racetrack. We had a couple of issues yesterday from different teams. As I mentioned before, Jeremy Fletcher with the mechanical that dropped him well down the field. His teammate Justin Adeconis had an engine issue. It resulted in a change. The crew for MMR was here until 12:30, putting a new engine in that car. And now another one of the MMR cars, that's the Jem Hemsworth car that had the issue on the pace lap. She is putting out quite a bit of white smoke from the right front of that number 12 machine. So it's clearly not a great opening lap for some of our competitors out there.
Yeah, Jem Hepworth then with problems in the Rafa by Rafa Racing by MMR car after that issue on the formation lap, and there's a bit of ground to make up. Wasn't able to go back into her starting position. Nate Cicero goes through in the lead from Nathan Nicholson in the black, white and yellow car in second, Jeremy Fletcher in third, Glenn McGee fourth, Gresham Wagner, then Tyler Gonzalez, Weston Workman there again, Parker DeLong. Then it's the Pac-Man, Sato Motorsport Group. He races well, but once again we have to make the point, yesterday he was in the mix and in the conversation, Shay, but towards the end of the race, that last 2 laps, last lap dash, it was almost a green-white checker, wasn't it, yesterday? And Panaccia, Marcello Panaccia, the Pac-Man, he got shuffled out from where he had started in that dash to the line.
Yeah, and for Marcello Panaccia, it's his weekend debut in this championship. He first came onto Mazda's radar several years ago, but then he was invited to the shootout last year to try and stake a claim at a scholarship to run Spec MX. Very impressive young man. He's decided to come in, dip his toe in the water, perhaps getting ready for a full season campaign next year, maybe with Sato Motorsport Group if they can hang on to him. But Sato said to me, Jay Sato said to me the other day, if it rains, watch out for this kid. And guess what? There's rain in the air and on the way. By the end of this race, it could be a wet one, and we might just see what that young Canadian can do.
No action on the start. It's been reviewed. Standard operational procedure from IMSA sanctioned series. Jem has come into the pit lane in that Rafa Racing machine. And that car then is in and out. Steve Webber not making the start after that issue yesterday for JTR Motorsport Engineering. Off. Nasty looking off at Quebec corner when the car just went pretty much straight on and hit the left-hand side barriers. That's an unusual incident there. So 24 cars making the start at the moment. Nate Cicero leads from Nathan Nicholson in second place. Best of the rookies is the Pac-Man in 8th position. Sato Motorsports Group, Marcello Panaccia. Then Noah Harmon, second of the rookies. It's an interesting battle in the rookie championship this year. They do have their own championship. It has their own scoring system. And at the end of the year, Shay, there's another big check that goes out to the best of the rookies.
It comes with a very nice prize of $80,000 cash, and that is not stipulated to come and run in this championship again next year. Nope, if you want to take that 80 grand and go out and buy yourself a new Mazda, a fully loaded Mazda of whatever model you can, because it's just $80,000 real cash money. Now, second place in the championship gets $85,000. So say, for example, that Noah Harmon climbs up 3 positions in the championship. We've seen that happen before. Does the Rookie of the Year walk home with the bigger check? Answer, yes, because Mazda is all about trying to help people. So it's really cool to think that these drivers, not only are they competing for this Rookie of the Year championship, but they're also within the top 10. They get payouts at the banquet too. So right now you've got Noah Harmon, you've got Whelen Mazda, you've got Ethan Goulart. All 3 of those drivers are going to walk away as first season rookie, finishing in the top 10, getting a big check on the night. And not just the big check for being the best rookie, but for being ultra competitive in the series all year long.
Yeah, Whelen Mazda down in 19th position, but has just pushed the overall fastest lap of the race in. He's right behind Justin Anaconis for Macumbi Makalia Racing. Those 2 rookies out of position, really, in terms of their speed. This, not just this weekend, but this season. It's still the white car of Nate Cicero for MMR, who is leading out by a fraction of a second down the Andretti straight, which is anything but straight. Somebody's just dropped their Michelin tyres on the right-hand side into the dirt there and thrown up some dust. But Nicholson in second, that's our championship leader. Increased his lead yesterday, does not have to keep winning, but he knows being at the front of the field, Shay, is the best place to be. He can control a little bit more what's going on around him. He does not need to be down in the bottom end of the top 10 or in the teens when everybody else is trying to go forward. Right now, he's in the best place. He knows he doesn't have to make any silly manoeuvres because Nate Cicero is perhaps not one of his major competitors this year, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do right now with Jeremy Fletcher in that blue car behind him.
That's exactly it, John. Nate Cicero is the guy who's been sneaking his way back up the championship. He's had a rough go this year at 6 pole positions out of 10 races. That is an incredible ratio, but the bonus points, Nate's been racking those up. He's got 90 so far on the year. Nicholson, in comparison, has 20. Nathan leads the championship. He's never won a race in this championship. You've got Nate Cicero. He pulled himself back up to 9th after yesterday's race, but there is a almost 600-point gap between those two drivers. So ultimately, Cicero needs to win to try and get to a position where he can walk away with $250,000 at the end of the year. Nicholson and I were joking yesterday, has anyone ever won this championship without winning a race? The answer was no, but we've seen it happen before in big series like WeatherTech. We had Jan Magnussen and Antonio Garcia a few years ago winning 0 races, but ultimately they were the champions. So Nate laughed and he said, you know, I don't really care if I win the championship without winning a race, but I really want to win a race.
Yeah, he wants to win a race, but he wants $250,000 as well. Jem Hepworth now right in front of the leaders. Brilliant driving from the Rafa Racing team by MMR driver. Stays well outside of the races as they were coming through. Bobby Gossett Jr. going a little bit of grass tracking. Actually, it's dirt tracking, isn't it? Because it has been, save a little bit of an overnight shower on Friday into Saturday. Very dry around these parts, but he's managed to keep the car going and points it in the right direction. Well done to Jem Hepworth for staying out the way of the leaders there. I mean, actually, this year, Antonio Garcia is doing it again. They're right up there in the championship and haven't won a race yet in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, which will have the full 2 hours and 40 minutes of later on today here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. It's a funny one, isn't it? You want to show everybody you can, but ultimately, we were talking about this yesterday with both Michelin Pilot and WeatherTech. This is effectively a league. This is a league competition, and ultimately, at the end of the season, the team or the driver with more points is the league winner and therefore are the champions. And sometimes, and certainly as we go into the second part of the season, Shea, you do have to think championship. Obviously, if you're up at the sharp end of the field, the rest will come to you. But Nathan Nicholson doesn't have to make any silly manoeuvres here. And whether he finishes 2nd, 3rd, 4th or 5th here, he's likely going to go away from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park with the lead in the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin.
He's got a 60-point buffer over Jared Thomas. So as long as he is within 3, if you want to be really safe, 4 positions of Jared, then yes, he will leave this round as the championship leader. But the bigger point is we have 5 more first-place trophies to hand out this season. And whose names are going to be attached to that? That's what these guys are thinking about at this point. Yes, the championship points really matter, but ultimately, they really like having those trophies. And Tyler Gonzalez is a guy who now has 5 first-place trophies on the year. He does not have that championship lead, and yeah, he wants the money at the end of the year. That's what everyone's thinking about, but ultimately, he's got a lot of trophies to stare at in the offseason, and think about all he's accomplished. A lot of other people don't.
And don't forget, there is not just end of season cash, real cash money as well. Every single round, the top 10 have a check given to them, which is again real cash money. This is not money that you need to spend on a set of tyres or some parts for your Mazda MX-5. You can go and have a good night out with your team, put it towards a holiday or whatever you feel. It is your choice. And by the way, Jared Thomas has just gone up to 11th position in this race and is only a couple of 3 seconds behind the leaders at the moment. And there's been an off, and oh, it's Jem Hepworth for Rafa Racing by MMR. That looks like the final corner. Turn 10 is White's corner, and there's been contact with the wall, I think. Yeah, oh, she got help. Definitely got help there. She was being lapped by the other cars. Now, in fairness to Jem, she stayed out of the way, but I don't know what she was meant to do through the final corner. And I haven't been able to identify from that as to who it was. Was that the final corner? Yes, it was. That was a little bit earlier on in the lap. There was some damage to cars further up the field, and that's Weston Workman, who's got his hand up above the windscreen to tell everybody that he's got some rubbing going on. That looked like he got a little tap, and part of the inner wheel arch liner is rubbing on his Michelin tyre. So that happened before. No, that's happened since the yellow flags have come out. Wow. The yellow flags are already out.
I think at the exit of Moss Corner, there was some body work laying across the track, and Weston was the unfortunate one to hit that, and then that ultimately resulted in some damage. Let's see if maybe Weston got a hip check. That was with Gresham Wagner, that he just bumped into the back of him. But, sorry, Weston bumped into the back of Gresham. That could have caused the rub. Yep, that's what caused it. I did see bodywork go flying. It was flying off of Weston. Well spotted there, John. And just a really quick thing, because I am paranoid and watching the weather radar. It's going to come. It's going to come on the back straight. It'll probably come as they turn into turn 8. And we are now within about a 30-minute window, so it should come right at the end of the race, maybe even on the cool-down lap.
Great work by Weston Workman and his sophomore year. Hand up above the roll cage so that everybody could see it. The good news is that after that impact at the final corner, Jem Hepworth is fine, getting out of the car without any need for assistance. So, of course, the EMR safety team are there. Now, race control are saying it was Christian Horneland for BSI Racing, who was the other car that was involved. It was a dark grey satin finish car. That would make sense on that. And it looked like he was trying to push Jem through the corner. That is, generally speaking, frowned upon by race control. A little bit of bump drafting on the straights with these cars that's okay when you're going in a straight line, but if we're up on the high banks of Daytona or you're going around the corners, you do not want to be unsettling the car ahead of you. And he's coming out of the final corner. And the number 32, oh, that's a big hit actually for Jem at quite an acute angle. The Mazda, of course, the MX-5, looks like a road car with a cage in. And that's kind of how it starts out. It certainly starts out as a road car, but over 250 specific race parts are grafted into this car after they come into the USA from Japan. The engine is left alone, but gearbox, diff, suspension, the racing wheels, the Michelin racing tyres, even the seat, the steering wheel, and of course the FIA approved safety cage and fire suppression systems are all added by Fliss Performance, and they are a very, very tough little race car. We have seen some we don't like to say big accidents here, but we have seen some very, very big accidents with these cars. Cars upside down in the air, 5, 6, 7 feet off the ground, cars piling into each other. As I say, we don't like to see that, but the first priority has to be safety. And Mazda and Fliss Performance make sure that whilst this might be seen as in some ways an entry level to motor racing and certainly to the IMSA package, there's no compromise whatsoever on the safety side.
No, and the biggest compliment that I can pay to these cars in this series is I would be comfortable, not only myself, but my loved ones racing in this series. And it goes to the strength of the car. You can't say safety because racing is never going to be safe, but the level
Correct.
Of detail that's put in and the level of effort, and throw on top of that the track services workers that we have with us every single weekend for IMSA. They are the tip of the sword. This group is such a good group of humans that I feel confident and comfortable every single time that I see these drivers going out, knowing that if something were to happen, chances are that, yes, it would be big and it would be scary, but they'll be able to walk away. And that is beyond money. You can't buy that level of comfort and peace of mind.
Well, as you know, in my brief and unusually sporadic racing career, I've raced cars, everything up, driven and raced racing cars, everything up to GT3, including doing some Mazda laps as well at Road Atlanta. And I've got to tell you, I've felt completely at home in the Mazda. In fairness, the version before this that had the H-pattern gearbox rather than the sequential SADF box. But I felt completely at home and safe and comfortable and able to try and extract the absolute most out of these cars. And in fairness, that's the two things I think that's really important. That you feel comfortable, you feel confident, you want to push these cars to the edge of their performance envelope, because that's where you get the best out of them, and that's why we get the great racing, because it is pure racing. The MX-5 is a road car, and I've driven plenty of them down through the 35 years or so of
35, yeah.
Yeah, I think I know I've driven every version of the road-going Mazda MX-5 since they came out in the UK, and every time I've sat in one, even if I haven't sat in one for a year or 18 months, I get back into them. It's like putting on a comfortable shoe, and you get back into it and go, oh yeah, I remember why I love these cars so much. The race cars have exactly the same personality, which is, come on then, drive me. And that's the beautiful thing about these cars. 3 pedals on the road car, 180 horsepower. Doesn't sound a lot nowadays, but it's all that's necessary because of the dynamics, the weight or lack thereof of the road car. It's such a lovely thing to drive. It reminds me of many. I used to own a Sunbeam Alpine from 1965, which was one of the old British sports cars. It became a Sunbeam Tiger, of course, when Carroll Shelby threw a Ford V8 into it and never got to that car, but that was a 100 horsepower car. These are 180. Absolutely reminded me of that. Real driving, and what we have here is real racing, and that's what the MX-5 35 odd years ago was designed to do. Even the exhaust note was engineered to sound like a proper sports car, and that's what they have done for that amount of time. And I just noticed, actually, I think it was last week before I went to the Le Mans Classic, that the MX-5 won another award in Europe for being the best open-top sports car. And for a car that's been around for that amount of time, in various guises, we're on to the 4th iteration now with the ND. This is almost 4.5, really. That is absolutely extraordinary, and well done to Mazda. The concept was right in the first place. Halfway through the race, the Whelen safety car has pulled off, and we are ready to go racing again with Tyler Gonzalez bringing the cars back to the starting line. No, they're not, because that's still the safety car's in the pit lane. So as we go green again, BSI Racing, Tyler Gonzalez, Nathan Nicholson, and then Jeremy Fletcher. Doesn't help that Tyler Gonzalez and the safety car have very similar paint colours on that. It's Nate Cicero in the white car in 4th position. I had to check myself there for a moment. Then Gresham Wagner. And what a run by Saito Motorsports. The twins are up to 6th and 7th, Shay.
I love seeing these two rookies just stealthing their way up the field. Ethan Goulart in yesterday's race felt like there was a bit of unfinished business. I saw he and his dad after the race. They did not look happy because they expected, after winning race number 2 at Mid-Ohio, to be at least on the podium. They didn't finish on the podium, and they felt like they had a car capable of doing that. So good to see them trying to set that right once again. Now Gresham Wagner's in between the twins, and Noah Harmon is right on the bumper of Ethan Goulart. So our Rookie of the Year battle taking place on the track. Now, while we were under yellow, not Gresham Wagner, Tyler Gonzalez managed to get to the front. He led 4 laps under the yellow flag. So he now is challenging Nate Cicero for most laps led in this one. Nate is currently sitting on 6, and we've got that rain coming in. It should be here within about 5 minutes, if my radar is to be believed, meaning Whelen Mazda, with the fastest lap of the race so far, might just hang on to that.
And at the moment, everybody's on slick Michelin tyres as they come round and complete lap number 13. It's the number 22 of Jeremy Fletcher in the blue, white and black Mazda MX-5 who leads. Nathan Nicholson in second place, a little bit more off-roading a moment or two ago. My goodness, totally sideways for Glenn McGee, who I think just pulled, yes, he did just pull it back as he was going down. It's fair to say he committed to turn 4 as he was going down the hill. Might have committed just a tiny bit too early and too dynamically. Fletcher then leading at an MMR 1-2 with no, it's not. It's Nathan now in second place. So 2 Nates actually. Nate Cicero in third, Nathan Nicholson in second, and then Marcello Paviccia. Oh my goodness me, this could be absolutely extraordinary. Still around about 20 minutes to go. Up over the top of the first left kink and the rise on the Mario Andretti straightaway. There's 2 right kinks, there are 2 rises before you get to the incredibly quick turning to turn number 8. That's where they are now. Nicholson looking left and moving around. Looks like he's got plenty of grip left from his Michelin tyres. It will come down, as it often does, to who's got the performance in the tyres at the end of the race. Air temperature more temperate, 27 Celsius, 81 Fahrenheit on the track, 33 Celsius is 91 Fahrenheit. Been a little bit of an off at turn 5 for Glenn McGee. I only talk for a living. In the JTR car, we saw him sideways at turn 4. That carried on through turn 5, but he got it pointing back in the right direction. Final warning on track limits as well for, and off. I'll come back to that in a moment, as off goes the number 65 and just about holds on to it for Bryce Cornet. And it's Parker DeLong who's had his final warning for track limits. Tends to be either turn 1 or at the bottom of turn 2 that race control are particularly looking at. Still 18 minutes to go, Shea Adam, and what are we looking at there? The top, 15? Still pretty much together?
It's wonderful, isn't it? Glenn McGee actually got a little bit of help going off at turn 5, and that was due to the number 31, I believe it was, of Ashland Speed. But Glenn, when he managed to go off the lap after he almost had that huge wreck at turn 5, so that's kind of a funny sequence of events. Bryce Cornier getting a little bit of help when he went off at turn 3 as well. So they are jostling for position out there as Fletcher leads yet another lap. Now, Fletcher being out front is actually helping Nate Cicero, assuming that no single driver leads more than 6 laps. Nate Cicero would get those 10 bonus points and steal them away as well. But it was a very risky lap out there for a lot of drivers, as they clearly feel with the open cockpit cars, John, the temperature changing, the rain approaching. They know it's now or never to get the moves done.
Well, as someone who rides a motorcycle on a relatively regular basis, that's going to sound a bit bizarre, but you smell the rain coming in. You can smell the change in the air. You get that ozone smell, that extra oxygenated air around you. The air pressure changes. Sometimes you even get your ears pop when the weather is about to change. A little bit of action at turn 5 and taking advantage of that, and very nicely done by Justin Adeconis in the blue and white number 23. That was a twofer. Overtake one, get one free, basically, as the 2 cars ahead of him were fighting for position. Whelen Mazda and Grant West with the 2 cars that he managed to get around there, but now he is making the haul in the air. Meantime, at the front of the field, all of a sudden Nathan Nicholson looks the man most likely, Shane. He's the championship leader. I keep seeing this. He doesn't need to do this, but he must be feeling pressure from Nate Cicero and Gresham Wagner and Ethan Guyard behind him, because he is looking almost to say to Jeremy Fletcher in the blue, white and black car, Jeremy, you need to get your foot down here, mate, because we need to gap these cars behind us.
Now, I know Nathan Nicholson, and right now all the pressure is coming from the monkey on his back, the voice echoing in his head saying, "You've never won a race, you've never won a race." He's sitting in P2, he's looking at the leader, and he is timing his move to try and figure out when to get to the head of this grid. Nate Cicero behind is going, "Oh, please just move, because if I get around you, I can get to Jeremy, and I've been racing in the series for a year longer than Jeremy. I can get around him." So right now, the top three really wants to win. And then in fourth, why not add Gresham Wagner to the mix? I mean, let's always throw in Gresham. He's not doing a full season this year. He's won the championship twice. He knows how to win races. He knows how to get poles. He's looking at his teammates going, I can get around both of these guys. And Nathan Nicholson, yeah, it's fine. I know what to do. I got on the podium yesterday. None of them did. And speaking of getting on the podium yesterday, well, that would be Tyler Gonzalez, 5-time race winner so far this year, looking to try and make it 6 out of 10. That would be quite an impressive streak for Tyler if he could get that done for BSI.
So Fletcher leading and under pressure from Nathan Nicholson, who pulls to the... Well, actually, he doesn't. He stays on the racing line. Jeremy Fletcher was slightly defensive there. The darker coloured car of Noah Harmon, the black number 7 car, going down the inside, trying to make up some positions there. He just can't make that work on Tyler Gonzalez as he's going through. Actually, that was Nate Cicero who's dropped back into the clutches. And this is the problem, Shay. And this, in some ways, is the problem for Nathan Nicholson in second place. Yes, he wants to win the race, but a botched potential overtaking manoeuvre from the lead, he could be back down in 7th and 8th.
Exactly, and we should ask drivers in the field, Jeremy Fletcher, what happens when you don't settle for a good championship point position? And I've joked with Jeremy about that this weekend, so it's okay. But Jeremy knows, and that's why he's sitting out front, and he knows, hey, if I need to take third, I'll take third. I'll get those points, and that will help with the bigger check at the end of the season. Maybe it's not the satisfaction you want today, but you've got to keep thinking about October.
Yeah, it's the long game, has to be played here. Not so very long ago in any of the IMSA Manufacturer Series, and you and I have sat alongside each other here in the Global Broadcast Centre talking about a variety of them down through the years, Shay, saying, well, you know, so-and-so has had a bad weekend, but it's a long season. Nowadays, you can't have a bad weekend. The standard of competition in any of the Manufacturer Series, and particularly here in Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin, you can barely have a bad race, never mind a bad weekend.
It's so true. Consistency is key, and even if you're not getting on the podium every weekend, top 5 finishes, that can result in you getting a better position at the end of the season. As Noah Harmon, speaking of better positions, tried to go around the outside of Nate Cicero, going through 8, 9, and into 10. They both went off the track at the exit of 10, which opened the door for Ethan Goulart to come and join their little scrap. So once again, we had Jeremy Fletcher leading a lap. He is now 1 short of Nate Cicero for most laps led in the race, meaning if he gets 2 more, he gets those 10 bonus points. But the battle for the lead is, what, 11 cars deep at this point? 12 cars? Yeah. This is fantastic.
There was a moment when I was about to say the top 4 are starting to break away. By break away, I mean 2 Mazda MX-5 lengths between the 4th place car, which at that point was Gresham Wagner, now Tyler Gonzalez, and Nate Cicero. And Nate's pulled the rest of that leading group back together. Again, the top 4 just pull away as they're coming out of turn number 7. They're on the back straight now. Nicholson has gone to the lead. Nicholson has gone to the lead. And Jeremy Fletcher's been hung out to dry by the 3 cars behind. He sensibly dropped straight back into the draft so as not to lose any more ground. But he's going to be eaten up by Nate Cicero round the outside at turn 8. Only in Mazda MX-5 racing can you do this. And Cicero comes through to the top 4. In fact, to the top 3 as he goes through past 2 cars. And that all started by the top 4 scrapping amongst themselves, Shay. Nate Cicero saw the opportunity, got a good run down the Mario Andretti straight, and has turned 5th into 3rd at the end of that lap.
I've just been told from experts in race control, it's not only getting darker out there, there are spots of rain that are starting to appear on our window, and our window is right in front of turn 10. So this could be our last dry lap of the race, which means Whelen Mazda, with the fastest lap of the race so far, he could hold on to that and steal those bonus points away from the people further up in the championship. But speaking of stealing points away, Nate Cicero looking to try and move up further in the championship by moving further up the field right now. Nathan Nicholson with Gresham Wagner all over his tail, then Tyler Gonzalez, then Nate and Jeremy Fletcher, and then the Sato twins. I love this level of competition, and Noah Harmon. Noah has joined the party too. Oh, this is going to be a very fun fight to the finish, especially considering every time that they're going to go breaking into turn 8 now, they're going to have to be a little bit careful. You don't want to go too wide for too much longer, John, because the car on the outside could very well find zero grip by the time you get there the next time.
Live by the draft, die by the draft. Nathan Nicholson hung out to dry that time. He was clotheslined, and he started the Mario Andretti straight in the lead. He finishes it in 5th, and through to the lead goes Gresham Wagner in the Rafa Racing team by MMR, the white car with the red highlights on it. Comes through. And by the way, if it starts raining now, nobody's pitting for Michelin wet weather tyres with only 9.5 to go. They will tough it out. They will drive these cars. You drive these cars in any weather by the seat of your pants. You're feeling what's going on beneath your backside in the car. That is the joy of these cars, and they will stay out. It is not enough time to get into the pits and get out. We've seen people try that, changing tyres in races with changing conditions, and generally speaking, it does not work. It has to be really early in the race to make any kind of impression when everybody is so close. So Gresham Wagner now in that white and red car, the red and white car behind him, and I make that distinction. One is more white than red, one is more red than white. You know what I'm talking about. Tyler Gonzalez in 2nd, Nate Cicero in the mostly white car with the red and blue racing stripes on it from the company Michelin Racing in 2nd place. Oh, there's somebody with a little bit of Michelin tyre smoke in the middle of that group. Oh, now that might be a problem. Now, who is that in there
Noah.
in the middle? They're pulling off. Is that Noah Harmon?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
it is
Noah
the number
Harmon.
7 car, the BSI Racing. Wow, that's a problem, and it's a big problem because it's the front right-hand side that has been pushed onto that Michelin tyre. I think that's going to be a problem. He may be peeling off in the pits. He is peeling off in the pits. That's disastrous for Harmon, one of the leading rookies in this race, and he will drop out of the battle for the top points.
And John, I hate to say this, but I think the car that gave him that damage was his teammate and fellow rookie, Whelen Mazda. Mazda came into turn 5, and it looked like there was a bit of side dinging between the two of them. They're both going for the Rookie of the Year championship as well. This is Noah's home track. He was born in the GTA. He now lives in Central Florida, but this is the one that he really, really wanted to do well at. So this is extra heartbreak as Nathan Nicholson gets all kinds of wild coming through turn 3. Can he keep it on the track? Yes, he can in turn 4, but it is now Gresham Wagner with help from Jeremy Fletcher trying to get around and away from Nate Cicero.
Down to the last 7 minutes of racing. Hello to you all. If you're just joining us, you have come at the critical time with somewhere in the region of 5, maybe 6 laps to go. 4, 5 or 6 laps to go. Depends on when the leader crosses the line. Getting questions here in the IMSA Radio Global Broadcast Centre about how stock are these cars. Not that stock in terms of what's done underneath the skin other than the engine. And the version that I drove, somebody's asked this, did still have the cup holders in the moulding on the centre console. I'm not sure whether with the sequential Sadev gearbox that moulding still is there. That is something we are now going to, I now need to know that, whether the cup holders are still on that centre console moulding. But they absolutely follow the ethos of Mazda MX-5 as it has been for all of these years, over 3 decades, redefining the small, pure driving experience of 4-cylinder, inline, non-turbocharged rear-wheel drive sports cars. It's about the joy of driving, and Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup, presented about Michelin, is about the joy of racing. And that's why it has become so popular. Often seen as a stepping stone, Mazda have, in the last 4 or 5 years since it came back to the IMSA WeatherTech Championship paddock, they have made it a destination because they have put the money in. They have said, come and race with us and you will be rewarded. And my goodness me, we've seen some tremendous races. Full course yellow are out. Full course yellow is out with 5 minutes and 20 to go. And what has happened here? Jem Hepworth came back out of the pits after that incident we saw earlier on at the final corner.
I don't think she did.
Okay.
I think this could be for debris. I'm just trying to see what the cameras are looking at in race control, and there's a bit of bodywork at the exit of Moss Corner.
It's weather. It's weather. We have lightning strikes within the radius of safety of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and that ultimately, with 4.5 minutes to go, will end the race, because we will not have enough time where there are no lightning strikes to carry on. This is about safety. There will be those of you who go, excuse me, lightning, really? In Europe, we continue. You get lightning in these parts, not like anything that you see in Europe. It is deadly, and this is a safety concern from race control. Let's just confirm that from race control, if that is the situation. It's certainly got much darker. Thank you, Shay. It is certainly got darker, and high voltage discharge is effectively what we're talking about. If we say lightning and everybody goes, yeah, that's lovely, you know, stand outside, watch that, get the photographs on your iPhone. And it is a red flag. It could only be that. So the race will go back 1 lap to the end of lap number 22. I don't think there was any massive changes, certainly not in the top 3. And we'll wait for race control to confirm, and Alcamel, our superb timing and scoring partners, to confirm the results at the end of lap number 22. Yeah, it's not pretty pictures here. This is high voltage discharge. If you're at the circuit at the moment, it's probably a good idea to seek some shelter, not under anything that is metal. And this will bring the cars back to the pit lane. We were 4.5 minutes, 4 minutes and 20 seconds short of this. And also it's for the safety of our corner workers and indeed our camera operators as well, who've been asked to stand down and take cover. So we're slightly deprived there of Shay of the last 4 minutes of the last couple or 3 laps. However, what entertainment we have. Checkered flag, red and checker, and in the pit lane then it is Gresham Wagner who takes the checkered flag. It will go back 1 further lap, so I'm going to wait until actually it'll go back 2 further laps. It'll go back to the last completed lap before the red, so it'll go back to lap number 22. But we had plenty of excitement there and some great racing at the front. Some big names at the front getting a little bit of redemption from what happened in race 1 yesterday, Shay.
Very much so. And the best news of all, for a team that was here until after midnight trying to do an engine change in one of their cars, a full podium lockout from Macumbi Macaleer Racing, and Gresham Wagner feeling a bit of redemption after last year when we had a big issue. Gresham crossed the finish line first, but then he ultimately received a penalty that meant he didn't win the race. So Gresham came back this year with 1 intent. That was to win this race, and now he's done just that. So Gresham becoming only the fifth driver this year to claim a race victory, and the rain has arrived. So not only are we on a stage 3 full stop for lightning, now the rain started.
Yes, to quote the famous Le Mans movie, the rain we had been expecting has arrived. I find myself saying that twice in 2 race weekends, one of which was indeed at Le Mans for the Classic. We're just waiting for the unofficial results to come through, because it will have to go back until before the red flag was thrown. It generally goes back to the last completed full lap before any interruption. I make that lap number 22. We completed lap number 23 with yellows, and then 24 was the red flag. So Shay is ready to do the arithmetic if she can. We might go on then.
I've done it provisionally. Nathan Nicholson continues to lead the championship. He now has a 100-point advantage, but it is now over Tyler Gonzalez up to P2. In third is Jared Thomas. Fourth, with a good day for Jeremy Fletcher. They are all separated by less than 150 points. And then fifth and sixth is relevant because that's still the rookie battle. It's now closer than ever. Noah Harmon 60 points ahead of Elio Meza.
Shea Adam and me, John Hindorf, in the Global Broadcast Centre, and now it is torrential rain. We've stopped the race for lightning within the safety perimeter. My goodness me, that could have been very dangerous with the rain coming in. Jem Hepworth was fine after the big accident, and provisionally Gresham Wagner has won race 2, with Nathan Nicholson continuing to lead the championship as we leave Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I'm John Hindorf. Bye for now.